Hello, everybody. Welcome to Expression Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host and Latte Excited Eddie V. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Edward. How are you on this fine day of your birth?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Yes, everybody, it's my birthday.
I didn't wish you a happy birthday. I just said this is your day of your birth.
Well, I'm just saying thank you.
I hope it was miserable.
Happy
birthday, Ed.
Thank you so much. I've been getting love. I actually just taking it like really cool because like this weekend I'm kind of going to try to celebrate. My mom, she got me a cupcake for my birthday, and it's just a single-use cupcake, and I didn't know the grocery store made them. Not the cupcakes, but
a used cupcake.
No, it's a single pack cupcake. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you said used. I'm like,
I did probably say that. I'm sorry, everybody.
It was just funny.
Yeah, and we'll probably go out to eat like Sunday for my birthday or something. But I just really kept it chill because it's a weekday, and I know people are working. I talked to Jesse. He called me, wished me a happy birthday. We talked for about 2 hours, catching up on things. So yeah, I feel loved. My sister gave me a haircut. Finally, I feel so nice, refreshing, relaxed, dude. It feels so good. I took a shower after it. Go ahead.
I love the feeling of a fresh haircut.
Oh,
I'm getting one on Saturday, and I'm quite excited. Or Sunday, I guess. Sunday, I'm getting one. So
I will say I love when they just do the massage, like just even the alcohol or putting whatever, like whatever they hairdressers and hair barbers do. That's the hairstylists and barbers do. There's just something about a good massage on the head too. I was just like, oh, this feels so good and everything. Yeah, but I
really like the way just the buzzer feels. Just feels nice.
Does it get you sleepy? Does it relax you?
Sorta. It just feels good.
Okay.
It just feels good, like, like it just kind of like has that slight, just, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's comfortable and feels nice.
Yeah. Yeah. When my barber, outside of my sister, when he does my hair, it's just like, he puts the bells and whistles on it because everybody know I normally go bald, and it's just like, yes, when he's just like, he'll get the alcohol, it'll burn whatever it needs to, and then he just starts rubbing the stuff, and the burner starts going away, and then he sprays this little or he spritz my hair with some good stuff, like a good smell. It just rubs it down, and then he'll put some grease and stuff on it, or it's like some pomade or something like that. It's just like it starts rubbing it, and it's just I'll be ready to be like, it is so weird. I personally get sleepy. It's because it's relaxing. And then I get home, be like, I got some energy. I want to run around and do stuff. Just like, no, I can't. But yeah, a nice good haircut for the guys. I don't really care about the barber talk and everything. That doesn't do nothing for me.
I don't care for it either. My sister-in-law cuts my hair, but so we talk. But I mean, at a normal barber, I don't like it either. I'm just like, shut up, just cut my hair
and let me go. Exactly. But yes, everybody, for this expansion pass, we are not talking about birthdays or barbershops. We are talking about the Nintendo DS launch games, and we're going to be talking about America launch games, and the list is short, everybody. I didn't expect like this list to be I know the N64 is the smallest list of any video game console out for America, but I didn't expect it to be this small. So, the launch games for the Nintendo DS was Asphalt Urban GT, Field of Magic XYXX, Madden NFL 2005, Metro Prime Hunters: The First Hunt, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario 64 DS, and Herbs Sim in the City. So it's those 7 games. But I do have a list. Everybody, um, that came for Japan and Europe and Canada. But you guys could go look that up. Because it's weird, Corey. They got WarioWare Touch. And that came for Japan, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, but it didn't come to America for a launch game. I think we got it later down the line. For it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, sure. I think I don't know. I think launching with Mario 64 was a big deal, right? Because
Yes.
I mean, even though it was an N64 game, it was kind of like, if the DS was pre PSP, right? And
Yes.
it was obviously the Game Boy Advance was awesome. It was essentially a Super Nintendo in your hand, which was awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but like seeing Mario 64, like a 3D game in your hand, was awesome. It was amazing.
And
Uh,
I know Nintendo was like all about the stylus because that was the touch functionality was like some people would say the gimmick was the highlight of the system of the DS.
uh, I mean, for most people, it was. I think a lot of people. I think you either liked it or you didn't, and I think it worked
Mm-hmm.
specifically with certain games, right? Like Brain Age is the one that I remember. The stylus was huge,
Oh,
right?
dude, $20 for that game, and everybody was like doing it almost every day. Who picked it
Yeah,
up?
I loved Brain Age. I played it. I was one of the people that played it forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that game was awesome.
I used to
Uh,
love the math problems. That was my thing.
yeah, it was awesome. And like you had like the little stick people walking in the door, and they asked you like how many red ones were in there, and you had to guess, right? And like
Yeah.
it was really cool. I thought that game was really neat. And it games like that, or like because like what was that? I forget what game they showed, but it was like someone like Beyonce or something holding the game or the DS like a book, right? Because there were other games
Uh
that had you hold it sideways like a book, and that was the start of like, oh, my friend's mom has a DS, right? And she's playing
uh.
Brain Age, and Sudoku was huge. Remember when that huge
Yeah.
Sudoku craze that happened?
Yes.
And then like that obviously led to the P-Cross craze later on, right? Like these little puzzle games like that, crossword puzzles, and
Mm.
uh, we talk about stuff like Professor Layton and stuff like that
Yes.
on there, which
Yeah.
those games were, man, give me a collection of those games.
Oh.
I mean, I know we're getting New World of Steam, and I'm super excited for that. But like, man, those games were awesome. But then there were times where the DS stylus was really annoying, like the two Zelda games, right? Like, why can't I just
Uh-huh.
play Zelda? Like I don't want to have to drag the stylus across the screen to move, right? It was neat. I will say this: it was neat that like you could make notes on the map and stuff like that. That was a
Yeah.
cool feature. That was awesome. But to have to move like that, right, and like use the stylus to do certain things in the game was just um or like closing the DS and opening it back up to reveal like the swap things around, right? That
Yeah.
was kind of neat. um and then there were games like the one Yoshi game on there, right, where you had to like literally blow into the microphone to make it work,
Uh-huh.
make Yoshi do stuff, right? Like that was
Yeah.
a neat mechanic that was really weird to do on an airplane. uh 'Cause you just see somebody like you're blowing on this thing, uh but yeah, going back to Mario 64, like the being able to play as the different characters and the 30 new stars, and that was awesome. That was like really cool, and like we finally got the promise of Yoshi, but in like a different way.
Yeah,
uh,
it's I remember because I got the blue DS. Um, and I remember that it was predicted that the PSP was going to destroy the Nintendo
Oh yeah,
DS because people didn't
I remember that.
understand it and everything. But
Well, people wanted console games on the go, right? And the PSP was
yeah,
promising that. And
yes,
like obviously, like they did all right at that, right? Like the two God of War games were great. Uh, the Final Fantasy Tactics game on there was cool. Birth by Sleep was obviously huge for Kingdom Hearts fans. Getting those like that game on there, there were a lot of great games on the PSP. I'm not trying to like dog it, but
right,
it wasn't. Sony was too early to the party for that. You know,
yes,
I think even like the Vita had the right idea, but obviously the two things wrong with the Vita were like the memory card fiasco and not
hmm,
having the second stick, right?
yes,
Um, you know, and then obviously the having the back touchpad was annoying instead of just another set of triggers, which is why I think the Switch was like, man, Sony almost had it twice. Twice they almost had it,
yeah, and then
and they fumbled. Like they just, to be fair, I think if Sony made like one or two different changes, right,
uh-huh,
specifically the memory card thing,
yes,
I think on both consoles, PSP was using that Memory Stick Pro Duo, right, and like you know people hacked the crap out of the PSP. Right.
shoot,
That was an emulation dream machine.
I think someone showed Miyamoto the Nintendo games running on the PSP
I'm sure they did.
during the interview. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No, don't
Why
do
would you
that.
do that? Uh so what just happened? Why is this deleting stuff? Oh, okay. Uh so but yeah, obviously the PSP did not do that. And the DS became like this massive hit to the point where it's the best selling Nintendo piece of hardware of all time, still to this day.
Yeah, once the DS Lite happened, once they like redesigned, because I'm like, I think it was what maybe a 6 months after the release of the regular DS.
Um
Like it was a short amount of time, or it might have been 8 months or a year. It was something because the DS Lite dropped, and they had to redesign the whole system, and so the DS Lite became the representation of the DS. Because man, that black one is so. I got the black one, and it was just like so during that time we called it sexy everybody. It was just so sexy and so sleek. With that black kind of matte look, glossy look to it.
mhm,
Um and I know it looked like a makeup case, but there was just something about it that they redesigned kind of the buttons, the triggers. You
mhm,
still was able to play your Game Boy games underneath the DS Lite before they
mhm.
took it out. And it was just like, wow. And once it happened and the games was coming out, it clicked. And then the system just sold, the game just sold like
Dude, that
bunkers.
console was awesome. I loved my DS. I didn't have very
Hmm.
many games for it. You know, I also secretly the best Mario Kart game.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I think Mario Kart 8 overall now, obviously with all the extra courses and the characters and carts and stuff is obviously better, but like
Hmm.
that was the game that got me into Mario Kart. I was not a
Me,
Mario Kart person until Mario Kart DS.
me and Josh, we did our ranking for Mario Kart.
Hmm.
Um, and that was our number one.
Yeah.
Like we love, I think, like I love, I mean, no, Double Dash was our number one. Mario Kart DS I think was our number two, because man, once I learned that, because you could play competitive with just the one card off
Hmm.
of everybody's DS and everything. And so I used to play with some friends in Chicago. um and I was just like, it was so amazing and so fun. And didn't it didn't really matter what place you came into. It was just the fun of it. The courses were so cool and design. And I'm like, okay, you really gotta learn how to drift, how to turn, use your characters and everything. And it was just a ball of a game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
But for like this launcher one, so Field of Magic XYXX.
that game
Um
became really hard to find after launch. It was
yeah,
so there were like two. I remember. So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I know
go
we
ahead.
want to talk about the
Go.
launch games in this game particularly, but I remember when my cousin and I would go shopping for games for him to sell on eBay.
Uh-huh.
There were two DS games in particular he was looking for. It was this game and it was Electroplankton.
Oh,
Remember Electroplankton?
you weren't going to find that game. When I tell you that game was rare,
Mm-hmm.
dude, that mug was super hard to find. Like
Right.
I couldn't find it at no Best Buy, no Target, no Toys R Us, no KB Toys. Couldn't find that game nowhere. I think that was one of the games that you literally had to pre-order when it came out in order to get it.
Right. Yeah. Uh yeah, and and then they reprinted it
Uh-huh.
like I think when like the DSIs came out, they randomly reprinted Electroplankton and like the value tanked and I remember my cousin being so mad. But there was something about the original print that still made the
Yes.
original print worth money. I don't remember
Uh-huh.
what it was exactly, but yeah. Uh it was that I just remember I remember the box art of Electroplankton. I was like, why does anybody even want this game? It was like this. It was the same reason. Like every time he found a Barbie Horse Adventures for the original Xbox, he bought it and sold it. Like he would buy it for $20 and he would sell it for 60 every time. Every time, I'm like, why are people paying this for Barbie Horse Adventure on the original Xbox? And this was well after the 360 came out.
I think it's because it's a rare title.
Yeah, but
Because
it was only the original Xbox version of that game.
right, but the thing about it is Barbie wasn't on no other console outside of Nintendo. So if anyone was trying to get this on another console, you know, yeah, $20, for this game that no one really cared about. Um, it was going to be like people who really wanted that game was the other collectors. So
Yeah,
even though you selling it for 60, I'm gonna sell this game for 120 because I know another collector will want this game, so they could resell it and get some money.
yeah. No, that's a fair point. Uh, it was just like, man, some weird. They are like the games you would never think of are the ones that
Mm-hmm.
are gonna do the best for some reason.
Yep.
And there's
And
nothing like nothing like right now on Switch. Do you know what game is extremely hard to find on Switch right now physically? One you would never
uh,
think of.
is it a first party game?
No, it's a third party game.
Third party game? Um,
Pretty popular one, by the way, in the grand scheme of gaming.
what year did it come out?
The year that every single game in the world came out, 2019.
Ooh, third party 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be no Astral Chain is first party. If it's third party,
Mm-hmm.
Daemon X Machina.
Nope. Came out around the same time as Zelda, like a week after or a week before. Week after.
It would have been Dragon Quest 11. It was
Nope.
September 2019
Not a
September.
Japanese game.
No, Dragon Quest 11 came out in
Not a Japanese game. The game I'm talking about is not a Japanese game.
good googly moody. It was Zelda Dragon Quest, Daemon X Machina.
One big one you're forgetting in there. Are you stumped? Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah,
The Witcher 3.
that became a hard game to find.
Mm-hmm. Physically, yeah.
Are you?
Especially if you have like the overlay case and like all the
Yeah,
stuff that comes with it. If
yeah.
you have that, you could dude, I see it's on eBay all the time for 100 and $110.
because it was like at Best Buy they had tons of it
Hmm.
during Black Friday. Like
Hmm.
we know that it sold
Yeah,
well.
yeah, but that the first run of The Witcher 3 on Switch had that like the DVD over slide case, right? Like
Uh huh.
the cardboard case over the plastic case,
Oh, okay.
and it had like the stickers and the thank you note and the pendant and stuff in it, right? Like it had all that extra stuff. But yeah, I mean that game became extremely hard to find complete. I should say complete. It's not hard to find not complete, but if you want it complete with all the extra stuff, it's extremely hard
It's
to
hard
find.
for. Okay, because I
Uh,
remember, um, when it did come out, because everybody had brought it out of curiosity, but because I think it was a Friday game, a Friday drop for that game. Um, and I remember everybody posting their pictures that they brought it, like from Best Buy or Target or whatever. Mostly it was Best Buy people was getting it, because they were just like, I'm picking up my curbside order or my online order of The Witcher 3, and everybody was showing it. Um, and people were just curious about that game, trying to see how it was going to play and run, and people were surprised on how kind of decent or how good it was.
mhm.
um
I mean, it
and
was
it
just
would.
amazing that they got that game to run on the Switch at all.
Oh yeah,
um,
I think that's gonna be a backwards compatible game on Switch 2 that everybody's gonna see. What are they gonna give us an upgrade pack for this, and how it's gonna look.
yeah, it's funny on Xbox Casuals. Josh and I just talked about how are third parties going to treat the upgrade system if Nintendo even lets them, right? Like I feel like Nintendo would absolutely let them
Yeah,
do that.
Nintendo made a statement saying that it's up to them on how they want to do, how they want to upgrade um
Okay.
their games. So if
Okay.
they want to do it for free, they can, or if they want to charge, they could charge. Nintendo left it up to them.
Okay. Yeah, because like I mean, obviously the big one for me would be like Hogwarts Legacy right now.
Hmm.
And obviously The Witcher would be an interesting move. Which I think aside from like kind of releasing their games in broken states,
Yeah,
CD Projekt Red in terms of upgrade stuff is always very generous. Like, they upgraded The Witcher for free twice to gamers, right? Like when the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro came out, they upgraded that game for free for people. When the
yeah,
PS5 and Series X versions came out, they upgraded them for free. They always drop free DLC packs, and then because they expect you to pay for the expansion, right? Like
uh-huh.
they've been relatively generous in that way.
And they were, um because they knew they had to mess up. They knew that that game was still in development when it got released. Like,
Hmm.
because the workers were just like, we need a year and a half still to fix this.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I would
uh
argue that game wasn't even ready until the expansion came out. Remember how much
pretty
stuff they
much
changed for that?
a whole bunch.
Yeah,
That's
I'm.
why when the trailers and stuff came out, um I'm just like, this game is not gonna look this good like the trailers.
Yeah,
And that's why I got me when me and LeBron had our discussion about it. I was just like, I'm very weary of this game because they're showing me a whole bunch of cutscenes and I'm not getting true gameplay at all.
yeah, I'm really interested to see how Cyberpunk runs on the Switch. I mean, apparently it runs really well,
That's
all things
yeah.
considered.
Um,
I'm gonna get there because like obviously I played it, right, but I didn't play the DLC, and I played I played it when it came out on Xbox One, right? So uh you can make your own deductions from there, which I didn't have any like problems per se, but like it definitely was like how everybody was talking about it who was playing it on PC. I'm like, this is, I mean, it's fine. Uh,
Which like I said, the best way to play it was on the Stadium, Google Stadium.
yeah, at that time, if you wanted to play the console version, yeah, the Stadia
Yeah,
version was the version to play.
I was just like, the one that everybody don't really care about and think is a failure has the best version of this game.
right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, the Stadia, the tech was really good on that though. Like I
mhm.
say what you will about like Google really just screwing the pooch on that one, for a lack of better phrases or terms or
Yes.
whatever. But like that, you can't deny that tech was not impressive.
I
Uh,
was, yeah, I can't deny it.
yeah. So I mean, and that was what, 4 years ago at this point, 3 years ago. So like,
Mhm.
I mean, imagine what that's like now. Uh, but yeah, DS.
Yeah, sorry right for that section. Well, Field of Magic
I'm not sorry.
XYXX. In Europe and Australia, it was known as Project Rub. So you would get, uh, think of Just Dance, not yeah,
Project
Just
Rub.
Dance. Um,
My gosh.
and you know how your character is white, is this bright white thing with clothing around, for it. Well, this is the plot for Field of Magic XYXX. Um, Field of Magic XYXX follows the events of a young man who meets a girl and instantly falls in love. However, she is not nearly as receptive, and the protagonist attempts to win her over, ranging from romantic gestures to protecting her from a stampede of bulls. As he attempts this, he is assisted and cheered on by a group of men called the Rub Rabbits. However, he is also pursued by a romantic rival antagonist vying for the girl's affection, using his incredible intelligence and technology to steal her from him. Field of Magic is played solely with the stylus and microphone and features a voice recognition system through both speaking and breathing. It is composed of several mini games that are loosely linked as the player tries to impress the girl. There are three main modes to play: story mode, um, is the main. I was trying to see how they all looked. Um, yeah, story mode is the main mode, which contains the mini games in each chapter with 3 levels of difficulty. Memories is a gameplay mode where one can play any of the previous mini games previously beaten. Stars can be collected in memories that can unlock certain places and clothing. The third mode, Maniac, is where one is able to take all of the articles of clothing earned during the game to dress up the girl. Um, yeah. And this was Sega. uh,
Look, Sega was in a weird space in 2004, 3.
uh yeah.
They
Uh,
were in a bad place. They were, they were staying out all night. They were picking up the wrong women. They were making some bad decisions out there, Ed. They were, but they've they've matured since then. They've found their way.
yes. A prequel to Field of Magic XYXX titled The Rub Rabbits was released in Japan in 2005. Later, it released in North America and Europe in 2006.
So weird, man. This
So,
this is around that time when these like rubbing women games were big. Remember the game on PSP, Monster Monpiece, about like the anime monster girls that you rubbed to take their clothes off?
oh yes,
And then Gal Gun, the anime girl squirt gun game.
oh yes. Um,
Oh man, what a
there is a butt game.
shocker.
Arcade game. Well, you have to jam the finger into the butt
Oh,
to see. It was an arcade game.
Ed,
It
this
got
is a kids show.
I know, but it was, well, shoot, it was at arcades in America that anybody could play. And
I don't know what
it
arcades you
had
were going to.
it had a big, actually the suburban arcades. Trust me,
Look,
it
I
had
don't need to know.
it had a big white
Pants
like
optional.
Mickey. It had a big white like Mickey Mouse style kind of glove hand, and you just
Oh my gosh.
do,
What?
and you see the video. It's bonkers. It's a, I seen it in EGM because it was a Japanese game. I'm just like, what is this wackiness? And then they brought it to America under a different name, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the butt game. uh,
What a
the
world we
t-
live in.
the 2000s was wacky. Trust me.
They were something.
It was a
Uh,
new era of gaming. Yes. Um, did you play any other games? So I never played Metroid Prime Hunters, the first one. Um I didn't get my DS until a little bit later. I did get the blue one, but I started off with Castlevania. Um, Sorrow of oh, what was the Castlevania games?
Aria of Sorrow,
Yeah, Aria of Sorrow,
Dawn of Sorrow,
Dinosaur.
Dawn of Sorrow,
Yeah,
and I mean there were like what, 3 Castlevanias, because the DS collection just came out, right? The Dominus collection, I think is what it's called.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
So I had all three, all the ones that came out for the DS for 'em. And I
yeah,
know
those
uh
games were cool.
yeah,
I really like those games. I wasn't very good at them, and I played very little of them, but I just, man, Castlevania is like a game that I always loved. Like, it's that and Mega Man, where I was always like, man, I really want to learn how to play these games and like these games,
mhm.
which I probably will at some point. It's part of my plan, and my major plan at some point.
Yeah, well, like when the Castlevania, went the Metroidvanias route for, I mean, outside of the 3D platform ones that was on console, when they was coming to like the DS and stuff, um, I think a lot of people were kind of getting like a little bit tired of them, but the Castlevania games were still selling because it
Hmm.
felt like everyone was coming. One of them was coming out almost every year or every 2 years and everything. And so when Metal Gear wasn't being the bread and butter, Castlevania was for them.
Hmm.
And this was a different Konami at that time compared to now.
Yeah,
For it, I remember definitely for me, Phoenix Wright. When that became a $20 bargain bin at GameStop,
yeah, that game was everywhere, man.
dude, I don't know what happened. All I remember is I bought it for GameStop at close to me in another city, got home, ended up loving that game, and it sold out quickly. The word somehow got around with that. And so when we started getting the other games, they were selling at $40. um People were just buying it up,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I mean that game was. I mean, I think that's when that game became popular, right? Is when it went on sale. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, obviously, like, it was just like, oh, it's a weird anime whatever game, right? But like then it went on sale, and everybody's like, oh, what's this?
Because didn't nobody know it was out or know what it was. There was no coverage. um EGM, I think they did a review for it, but it was like a small review for it, and just like nobody didn't know it. So when people were just like, well, it's Capcom, the artwork looks real cool, I'll give this adventure novel game a try. And people just seeing how funny it was, and being a lawyer and everything, and it was just like, oh, this is a great game.
Hmm.
And stuff. And Phineas Wright took off with that. I don't think Dragon Quest was on DS yet.
It was 4, 5, and 6 remakes. They're really hard to find too.
Okay, because that's when Nintendo games were dropping on Sundays. They switched to Sundays.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
Always trying to stop it, Nintendo. Stop moving days. Now it's Thursdays. Why are you coming out on Thursday?
I used to have to drive to work. When I was at Toys R Us, I would have to drive to work to buy the game and get back before church started. Uh, because we will open up at 9, so I would kind of skip Sunday school to go get Dragon Quest and everything.
Yeah, and then like obviously it ended up getting what some people argue is the best version of Chrono Trigger, right? Like that's the
Yes,
version of Chrono Trigger everybody loves.
yes, because we got the PlayStation 1 version, but not with all the loading
Hmm.
um for it.
And then it had like the touchscreen stuff, like the
Yeah.
so. That was cool.
Yeah. So yeah, just the DS, room, hotel room, hotel dust room once 112,
Hmm.
well, hotel dust. That was my game. I'm like, oh yes, I love this game. And this is when you could play in the book style with it.
Hmm.
um of course I had the um I kind of had, because they gave it a perfect 10 at EGM, and after I played it, because I think OneUp.com was around, I wrote about that game, which is like, yes, I understand why this is a perfect 10. It is a must play. Um, but Sing went out of business. But somehow came back as a different company because um the one remake
Like
came
that
out.
Star Wars meme. Somehow they returned.
Yes.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, there have been a lot of cool DS games that came out. But like, as for a launch list, I don't think it was bad. I just think it's kind of not memorable in a sense. I think more
I would
people. Oh,
I
go
would
ahead.
argue I mean the lineup itself isn't memorable, but I would argue Mario 64 on DS was very memorable. Like just by itself. And then, like Nintendogs, right? Like
Uh huh.
I mean that wasn't at launch though, I
Right.
guess.
I think the launch lineup is just not memorable as compared to all the games that came after it that made the Nintendo DS what it is, with more Nintendo games. And because that was like New Super Mario Brothers, that helped take the system off. um yeah, the Legend of Zelda games weren't really hitting, but they did well for themselves using the Wind Waker art style and a touch feel to it.
Mhm.
Getting the Dragon Quest games, and there were some games that didn't have no touch features at all. Unless you wanted to do it. You would have that map at the top or the map at the bottom, depending on how you play games
Mhm.
with it. And so, and it was kind of just like a little for it kind of felt like for some developers, because I think Scribblenauts was on DS.
Mhm.
Um, and how big that game was, and
That game was huge.
yeah,
I mean that
um,
I mean that game, like, you want to talk about how crazy that game was. Like, I know it's not really a big deal to people now, but like that game being able to just like type a word in and that item appearing to like to an extent, obviously like family friendly items, but like
yes,
like that was huge. Like I want to ride a blue duck and a blue duck appears. Like that's crazy. Like that game had some really cool ideas. And then like I mean that game, honestly, that if you want to play a good version of Scribblenauts, that game
yeah,
is that double pack on Switch is on sale all the time.
yes.
That mega pack is like $4 all the time.
Uh,
I would highly recommend getting that if you want to see something really interesting.
so Corey, you remember that Wi-Fi USB connector?
Oh yeah.
I had one of those because I used it to do Pokemon with it
Oh my
and
gosh, of course
everything.
you did.
I was just like, oh, okay, I'm doing online gaming through my DS with this thing.
Still better than the Switch is online.
That's shade.
It's also true.
I know. um, yeah, yeah. So the DS. Let's see, because I'm looking at some of um the systems: the Nintendo DS, the DS Lite, the DSi, and the DSi XL. Because the I had the camera in it.
Yeah, I actually have a DSi plugged in right now over there.
Mhm.
I actually really liked that system. I thought out of all, like, I really like the DS Lite because you could play the Game Boy games still. Like, I still think the DS Fat is the ugliest system I've ever seen in my life, aside from maybe the Virtual Boy.
Cause
Um,
it's because the top part was kind of thin,
it
and
was
it was like
chonky, man. It was
it
like,
was
what are you doing? It's
yes,
like,
it was chunky because most of the components was at the bottom, so it was fat, and then the top part was like thin. And it's like
yeah,
this is not a good balance.
it
Cool
felt
cut,
like it felt like a prototype of, whatever they were trying to do
y-
next, right? Like,
y-
that's what it.
yes, and
I
so
mean,
when
remember the prototype Reggie pulled out of his pocket?
was it silver?
It was black and silver because it had the black bottom on it,
Uh,
and the top was silver, and then it had like the gray buttons and D-pad on it.
okay,
And then obviously it just became gray, I think, and then the blue. I think that you said blue was the other color they released at the time, but like
yeah,
I didn't get a DS until the DS Lite came out.
I
Um,
yeah, because when I was working by then when it came out, because I got my um, I believe I got my DS. I got my DS at Sears that was in our mall, and then I got my DS Lite I believe at Best Buy. Um,
got mine at Circuit City.
okay. Oh,
I
we
love
had
Circuit City, man.
do me and my friends we used to go CD shopping at Circuit City, so we would get like the hip hop, like the rap, the R&B and stuff.
Hmm.
Sam Goody was also a place that I shopped.
Yep.
Because man,
Dude, you want to talk about some early 2000s shopping. Circuit City, Sam Goody,
mhm.
Babbage's. That was
Yes,
that was the circle of places I would go.
yes. I uh, well, software etc. was in a
Yeah.
we
Yeah. That was always the one in the mall up by the food court.
yeah. Um, that one was close to my house. So mine was Sam Goody, Circuit City, Suncoast, because Suncoast and Sam Goody
Mhm.
were owned by the same company. Dude, once I got my DVD player, I was always at Suncoast trying to figure out I'm like, which I got to sell, because we had it. I would do Sam Goody in my mall for the music, and then go up the to Vernon Hills, which is another city, to Suncoast for the movies and stuff. And so I would buy like my anime and like other movies and stuff. And that's when
Nerd.
yes, I mean shoot at the a what can I say? And I was going to school and everything, so I was working hard. Everybody, I should say.
Hardly working.
But yeah, when I got my DS Lite, Castlevania was the game that I bought and everything.
Mhm.
And then and you can even tell the difference because the DS didn't really have backlighting and everything a little bit, but the light did. It,
Mhm.
it, it it looked a little brighter, and I'm just like, oh yeah, now I get to see this game. I now understand the system and everything. And yeah, it was the light just it had a life on its own. Um, speaking of Sam Goody, that's where I got my Metro Prime for GameCube at.
Hmm.
After because they were the only Sam Goody was the only place that had the demo for the GameCube,
Mhm.
and they would have the system and the game right by the checkout counter. And I think I told the story before. Dude, I'm playing this game right on their demo disc, uh, uh, demo system. I get to the first boss, I beat him, and I escape. And it was just like, "Thank you for playing." Went over, just did 5 steps, and they were just like, "How I can help you?" I was just like, "Yes, I would like to pre-order this game, Metroid Prime." They're just like, "Oh, okay. Did you want to put your $5?" I'm like, "I want to pay in full," and gave them straight $50 and everything, and shoot, I was just like, I would see y'all, because that's when Sam Goody was also selling Nintendo games, also,
Hmm.
um, and some movies and stuff. Because I remember Suncoast also was used to sell games. That's where I bought my Super Mario Brothers 3 after that mug was sold out everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So,
um, Jeez.
uh,
Yeah, I remember the Babbages in the mall was like the first place I ever pre-ordered a game.
mm,
I really didn't know what I was doing. Like I didn't even know it was a thing. Like I never like was like, oh, I guess I can do this, huh? It was like the first time I could ever like spend money on my own to buy, you know, really go buy games. Like, I mean, I,
yeah,
I had obviously I had a job towards the end of high school and into college, and like I was, dude, I was buying GameCube games left and right because like you know I I I
Corey,
had
I'm with you. Same, dude.
I got my GameCube in on launch day. It came out on my birthday. I remember the GameCube came out on my birthday,
Hmm.
and I got one. Uh, and like N64. I was lucky enough to like that my parents would like get me stuff for Christmas and birthdays and stuff, obviously, and like I would buy a couple games here and there, but like I could only buy what I could have, what I was given or what I could afford. So
Yeah.
I was lucky that I had like 15 games for N64 at the time, right? But
Hmm.
like GameCube and PS2 were like the first two consoles that I had like disposable income. And dude,
Yeah.
if I wasn't buying food, I was buying video
Yeah.
games, right? Like
That.
that's where I was at, right? And then like when the DS came out, I was like, "Oh man, this is going to be awesome. I have another thing I can spend money on." And then,
Yeah,
I was
cause
irresponsible with money, but it's
yeah,
fine.
cause I, going to college, working, and then I just got to the point where I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go into work. I could wait for college and stuff. Um, when I was making more money that way,
Mhm.
uh I will say I had before I had got my job, I was DJing at my old high school for their basketball season, and just playing music and stuff, and the Palms and their cheerleaders and stuff. And I got a $600 check, and that's how I was able to get my Dreamcast and games like that.
Mhm.
When I started working in about 2001, at JCPenney, uh, and doing school and stuff, and I I ended up getting my black GameCube and games like that. So
Mhm.
my paychecks was just like, of course, pay school, any bills, give money to my mom like for groceries or whatever. And I would get like my In America magazine. I would get a anime DVD, and then I was getting my GameCube games.
Mhm.
And even though I had a place, I ended up eventually buying a PlayStation 2 Slim and a Xbox. My PS2 and Xbox was all used games. Everything for my GameCube was all new. So I was buying like Eternal Darkness and Paper Mario and like all of these games and stuff. Anything that was like from Nintendo, or most of the stuff from Nintendo that I could buy on GameCube, I did if that store sold it, because I wasn't able to get a Odama. But like Ikaruga was just like, what is this game? It's from Atari. I was just shooting them up, okay, and then fell in love with that game. I'm just like, oh, these are some games like the bargain bin stuff. Used to find gems in
Mhm.
the bargain bin.
Yeah. I mean, I found Geist in the bargain bin. Uh Man, there were some really strange GameCube games I found in the bargain bin and PS2 stuff.
And that was the weird thing about it. So I full out bought Prince of Persia. So because it was GameStop at that time. So if I bought Prince of Persia, I got Splinter Cell's first game, for
Mhm.
free. So I was cool with that. I tried playing Splinter Cell, didn't like it. Just like I could just add it to my collection, call it a day. Beat all of Prince of Persia, but when I tried to get the second and third game for GameCube, they were nowhere to be found. So I had to buy the Xbox versions,
For
and
what,
they
Prince of Persia?
yeah, I was able to get the first game, but the
Uh-huh.
second and third one, the Two Thrones and
Warrior Within.
Warrior Within, they, GameStop and Sears and everything. Anyone who supposed to have carried it, those versions were gone. You could
Mhm.
never find them. Um, I was able to find the PlayStation 2 versions, but Xbox had them in the used bin for like $10.
Mhm.
So I was just like, well, I just would get the experience on Xbox. So I had my sense of time for GameCube, and then the other two I just had it for Xbox, and I beat all three games. To say, and I think that was the time when I became a multi gamer. Well, I was a multi gamer when Super Nintendo and I had Super Nintendo with Turbo Graphics, and then when I had N64 PlayStation One, um, and everything, because like Dreamcast is my first and only Sega console I ever bought for myself.
Mhm.
But like GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2, that was the first time that I started owning all three consoles. And so I was just buying, the cheaper version of the used games for PlayStation 2 and Xbox, besides like Okami or anything. And then it was GameCube stuff. I know we should be saving this for our GameCube discussion because that is the next uh,
Yeah,
launch
sure.
game.
Who cares? I mean, who
Yeah.
really cares? We're going to talk about it all again anyway,
uh,
because that's
yeah.
how we are. We've probably had this conversation 6 times in the whole run of the show at this point, so,
Yes, but
you
just
know.
but just going through that era of GameCube, I think that one is kind of as I can understand as much as GameCube wasn't the big thing for Nintendo,
Should have been.
it's probably the biggest and most historic systems and launch libraries that for anyone who owned a system and played their games, they could talk about that for hours. Because there was just some kind of enjoyment people got out of it.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean, yeah. Um, and obviously the Game Boy Advance stuff, connectivity stuff, and the Game Boy Player was good, cool too. Like,
Oh yeah.
um, but I mean, that just goes to show you how important that, I mean, quietly important the Game Boy Advance was, right? Because like the
Hmm.
GameCube had it, and the DS had backwards compatibility with it.
Yeah.
So, uh, that was my transition back to DS, by the way.
Uh,
Uh, I mean, but like speaking of that point though, like when I got my DS, like I bought Mario 64, but I played a lot of my Game Boy Advance games on the DS
yeah. Same.
because I could see, you know,
Yeah.
because the Game Boy Advance didn't have a backlight. You had to get the SP. And like I did eventually get one, but I got one like 6 months before I got my DS, because when the DS came out, the Game Boy Advance SPs were clearanced out
Uh
almost
huh.
everywhere, and then they came out with the Game Boy Micro, right? Which
Yes.
I I wish I had one. But yeah, and then obviously the DS Lite a year later, and that I mean having that Game Boy Advance slot underneath, like it it really felt awesome to have that clamshell design,
Uh huh.
right, with the like. And I remember the cool thing too was you could choose which screen you played your Game Boy Advance games on, which
Yes.
was cool. And then people started modding DSs to be Game Boy Advances where they would rip the top screen off and like put a nice shell around it.
Uh huh.
I don't know if you ever saw those or not.
I haven't.
Yeah, it was weird, because I mean it was really easy to take that top screen of the DS off, you know. Uh, but it was man, the DS was such a, and again, like I didn't play very much on there, right? But the games I played a ton of.
Yeah. It's just and because Fire Emblem Awakening was 3DS, and
No,
everything.
nope. Shadow Dragon was the DS version.
No, that's what I said. Fire Emblem Awakening was the 3DS version.
Yeah,
Was like the was that one?
yeah.
Um,
Shadow Dragon was the remake of one that was on
yeah,
DS.
because I didn't get any of the Fire Emblems on DS. I got some on Game Boy Advance because I was trying it. I heard of this series, but
Hmm.
I didn't know anything. Like I
Well, it was
wasn't.
like Golden Sun, right? They started bringing over all those Japanese RPGs that we never
Yeah,
got, right? Because like Fire Emblem, like just Fire Emblem on Game Boy Advance is like the third game because the NES one is the first game,
first one.
obviously,
Yeah.
and then Shadows of Valencia was the Super Nintendo game, which obviously came to 3DS later, right? In that remake, uh, and then what was it? The Genealogy of the Holy War, I think, is one of them, and then I don't remember the order. Like, there's the Sacred Stones and the Binding Blade and Genealogy of the Holy War, the three Game Boy Advance games, but one of them is just called Fire Emblem, which I think is Genealogy of the Holy War.
Okay. I think was that the cover that was like gold. It was
Yeah, it
like
was
the
gold with the blue. No,
with
it
the
was it was like bluish purple with the gold lettering. Was the
okay.
first one, I think,
What
and
was
then
the
and it has Roy in it, I think.
then mine must have been the second one because I think there was one. I would have to look at the box art because I got the cartridge, but I think something happened to
Mhm.
my box for that game.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
pretty sure Roy is the main character of the first one, and Ike is the GameCube protagonist.
mhm.
Um, oh, I'm sorry. And then Leaf is in one of them, which man, no, I think Leaf is the first game, and Roy is the Binding Blade. I don't remember. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember.
Let's see the Blazing Blade. Uh,
And then go move on to Wii. You have Makai as the main character of the Wii version, and you move on. But huh, yeah,
okay, yeah. Then it's the first Fire Emblem then that I have, I believe.
hmm I've
Because
been
the
looking at the cartridge only versions of those games
uh
on eBay, and they're like $50 and $60 just for the cartridge.
ooh
I might get them. I mean, my goal is to own a physical copy of every Zelda game and every Fire Emblem game, complete in box at some point. Uh, but for now, anyways, Shadow Dragon.
yes.
Speaking of DS, I was so confused when I played that game because like I had always heard Fire Emblem was really fun and hard if you're into JRPGs, but it's not a JRPG; it's a strategy RPG, and I had never
Uh-huh.
played one before.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was me.
because like I didn't get I didn't get the game. I didn't get the GameCube Fire Emblem game until after I got a DS because I didn't know anything about Fire Emblem except for what was going on in Smash, right?
I remember just reading it in EGM, and just hearing about the permadeath of the game. And I knew it was a big series in Japan. So when they brought it to America, I was just like, okay, I need to pick up this game because it's a first party Nintendo game. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what it is, but I trust Nintendo to teach me the ins and outs. And yeah, they do teach you, but I'm like, oh, if I die, that's it for my character. And I have to
Mm-hmm.
restart from my save game or whatever. So it was just like kind of hard to grasp because I didn't know the paper rock scissor method of doing of that game. It's it was different than a yin yang strategy in Mega Man. and
Mhm.
stuff. But I understand that concept, but I was just like, oh no, your different party members have have some weaknesses and strengths, so you have to make sure that the spaces that you are allowed to move, you move to the right person. So when you attack, you are stronger than your opponent with the right weapon,
Mhm.
and everything. And I
And that's
just didn't grab it.
yeah, and that's something the later games kind of eased up on quite a bit, right? Like
Yeah,
I think the 3DS games like essentially like it was in there, right? But it was like okay, okay. Oh, like 5 extra damage. Oh no. Instead
yeah.
of like murdering your character straight up.
Yeah, it's Fire Emblem Awakening, Monster Hunter 4. It's I I really want to do a list of games that started kind of niche or unknown and helped that particular series became popular, because Fire Emblem was running the 3DS after Awakening. Like
Yeah, I
people
mean
were
Fates
going
was
out to
so
buy it.
easy. I mean they made a special edition 3DS
Yeah,
for the game after Awakening, which was going to be the last Fire Emblem game because
exactly.
they didn't sell well.
And then it's so bonkers.
And then it did so well. Uh,
And then because of the popularity and people, and Nintendo recognizing the success of Fire Emblem Awakening, like that carried on until Fire Emblem Three Houses. And when Three Houses dropped, it was just like, oh, it's now on a whole different level. And it
mhm.
just got even popular. Um
Yeah.
with it. And so it's just like Fire Emblem became a mainstay, same as how Monster Hunter even though Monster Hunter had been out on PlayStation, it was small for its community, but then it came bigger on Nintendo. Now it's one of Capcom's biggest multi-platform franchises.
Mhm.
You know, um,
Yeah.
and
Um,
and, and there's of course there's more games that's done that. Um,
sure. But
so
we don't need to name every single one, right?
oh
I mean,
no,
we're just giving examples.
yeah. So, but Corey, I think that's gonna be it for our talk on the DS. I'm
Aw.
sorry, I'm sorry, everybody. We jumped around
So hold on
because
before we end though, Ed.
yes,
I mean, what are like your 2 or 3 favorite games on the DS?
Phoenix Wright, um, was big on Mario Kart, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, Contra 4, uh, was one of my big ones for it. Of course, Hotel Dust, um, and surprisingly, Corey, there was a cooking game on it where you can make real life
Cooking Mama.
not that one Tetris DS. Oh, dude, Tetris DS was everything.
Yeah,
What
Tetris
was
DS is good.
the other one? There was another puzzle game on there. Um, uh,
Um, on the DS puzzle
yes,
game, like
yes.
oh, I don't remember.
It was like what was the Yoshi one? Because it had the stars and the triangles and stuff.
Like
Um,
Yoshi's Cookie, like
not Yoshi's Cookie. Um, puzzle game on N64, because that was what.
like Puzzle League, like Pokemon Puzzle League,
Yes, Puzzle
but
League. Yeah, Puzzle League was on DS.
mhm.
Uh, and I used to play that. I used to play that religiously. Of course. Elite Beat Agents.
Yeah. Speaking of puzzle games, Mario vs Donkey Kong.
Oh, that was my mom's favorite.
I mean, I think obviously they remade the first one, which I think was a Game Boy Advance game, right? But like they what the toy like the when they had to introduce the toys into it and like
Yeah.
all the weird stuff like that. Those games were cool.
It's
Remember the 3DS Wii U one that was cross buy and they were experimenting with cross buy for the first time
yes.
and the last time.
uh, Planet Puzzle League. That's what it was.
Planet Puzzle League.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I love that one. Great music. But shoot, Tetris DS was like the dude. That mug was fire. You talking about? I would spend hours playing that game.
Yeah.
Uh, so those are just some of it. Man, my DS library used to be huge. Oh, and Professor Layton, like, and what was so cool? I'm sorry, everybody. We'll move. Corey, I'll
Notice I
get your
said 2
list.
to 3. He's on number 17. Everybody.
Sorry, everybody. Professor Layton, remember, like, you were able to download new puzzles every Sunday, every week.
Hmm.
That was so cool that Nintendo
That
did
was
that.
that was really uh innovative at the time.
It was,
Uh,
and that's like free DLC, but we didn't notice that. We're just like, oh, extra puzzles.
yeah. But it was fun, man. I love Professor Layton. I can't wait for New World of Steam.
Yes.
I
Corey,
hope that's not one of those weird key card games.
no, I don't think so.
You know, like I'm really glad that those games are they like the ones that are coming out of the Switch 2 versions of the Switch games are like normal games and not just an upgrade code.
Yes. Um, what are yours, Corey?
I mean, we kind of almost have similar ones. Like I really love um I really loved Mario 64. Mario 64 is just such a seminal game for me anyway. And being able to take it on the go
Mm-hmm.
was just it was everything. Um, so there was that, and then Professor Layton. The Professor Layton games are awesome.
Yes.
And then we talked about Brain Age quite a bit, but I really loved Brain Age. I thought that was awesome. Um, Mario vs Donkey Kong games were great.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart DS is absolutely the best game on the console, hands down, in my opinion. I was obsessed with Mario Kart DS. I loved Mario Kart DS so
I
much,
I would not. I'm not gonna even.
especially because like the Game Boy Advance one was just like, I don't know,
It was okay, but
it,
I just
so here's the thing, I hated the Super Nintendo Mario Kart game. Like I
and,
hated Super Mario Kart, and
and
it was just Super Mario Kart in tiny form, and I hated it even
yes,
more. I'm like,
yes.
oh my
But,
god,
but I love I love Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo because it was a debut to the franchise, and me and my friends played it almost every day and learned the tracks and stuff. Um, and when it came to the Game Boy one, it it still had that Super Nintendo feel, but I think the tracks wasn't impressive. And then it's just something about DS, the tracks and the online gaming and the playing with friends locally, and it was just something about that game just spoke. And it's just like I'm having a ball of a time
yeah, it was great.
with it.
I think Mario Kart DS definitely
I
amazing.
and I kind of I agree with you, Corey. I think it is like the best game on the Nintendo DS.
Hmm. Hold on, let me see. I need to see what um I need to look up some games. I feel like I'm missing something. The Mario and Luigi games.
Oh yes.
I mean, Bowser's Inside Story is an incredible game,
Oh, that
right?
game
I mean,
is big.
I think we kind of think of that as a 3DS game because remember it got ported over.
Yes.
But
Uh
Pokemon Conquest was
oh
incredible.
yes, love that. And I actually love the Pokemon games on DS.
Yeah, we got. I mean, not one of my favorite games, but we got that weird Bioware Sonic Chronicles RPG.
I I'm gonna sit here and defend that game. I loved it. It was
I didn't
it
say it was good or bad. I just said
it
it was weird.
it was a game. I agree.
Yeah,
It was a
and
game.
then and then
Um
And then we got that. I mean, that was where the new Super Mario Brothers game started.
Yes, and this is the weird thing with I'm sorry, Corey, before we go with that one, with the Bioware one,
Mhm.
um, I think this is when people started to notice who Bioware was, because I don't think Mass Effect wasn't out just yet.
No, people start. I think console gamers knew from Knights of the Old Republic and Jade
Oh,
Empire.
okay, because I think BioWare didn't I mean, BioWare got some love from the first Mass Effect, but I think it was Mass Effect 2 that, that made BioWare's name be a
Yeah,
household name.
I think people who played KOTOR really liked KOTOR
Mhm.
and Jade Empire, but Mass Effect 2 really like put
A household
obviously,
name.
obviously PC gamers knew who they were because of Baldur's Gate and everything like that, right?
Yes.
Neverwinter and all those games, right? But console gamers never experienced BioWare until KOTOR, right? That was their big entry to console games. I feel like unless what Dark Alliance might have been them, right? But
Uh-huh.
like that was seminal. Um, so let's see. Hold on, DS. There was another game I needed to point out real quick. Um, where was it? Where was it? Hold on, Ed. I'm singing my song so I can find it. I just passed it, and I
Oh, the Capcom one, that they
oh
re-released.
Capcom Cross Zone or whatever.
Not that one. That was the Capcom and
Project
Namco
X
one.
Zone Cross Zone.
Project X Zone is really good, but I think that was 3DS. No, it was the one that they also Ghost Trick. That's it.
Mm,
Ghost Trick was everything on DS for me. I know it didn't sell well, but it was something really new about that game. And I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. And we never got a sequel to it. It's one of the developers who made Phoenix Wright, everybody. That team.
mm.
And director. And so if you guys don't own Ghost Trick, it's almost on everything now. So I do recommend y'all go get that game.
Yeah. I also played a ton of Plants vs Zombies on DS. I know it was a phone game, but I played a ton on DS.
Uh
I loved Plants vs Zombies.
did you do M plus plus on DS?
I got the I think it was just N plus at that time.
M plus, okay.
Yeah, I ended up getting it on DS and PSP because they both had exclusive levels, and I was already obsessed with it on 360. Um,
Okay.
dude, I was obsessed with N plus for a long time.
Cause I remember playing it on DS, but I think I played
hmm
the friends. I didn't buy it, but I remember playing it
hmm
on somebody's
Yeah,
and
it
being
was
hooked
weird.
on it.
It was weird on the DS because the top screen had the entire level on it, which
Uh-huh.
is like what you normally see when you play the game, essentially.
Yeah.
Like or at least like the camera kind of like you see most of the level all the time, and the camera kind of keeps you in the center. And then the bottom screen was just like a close up view of your character, and
Ooh.
I was like, man, this is weird. I don't know what screen to look at. Both of them are screwing me up. Not. It was a neat idea, not the best way to play that game.
It was I know the DS was my introduction to Rhythm Heaven also.
hmm
I thought Rhythm Heaven was really cool. 'Cause I think that came out after Elite Beat and everything.
Yeah. Um, Man, I'm looking at this list on Nintendo Life. There are some real gems. I forgot we got a Suikoden game on DS,
Yeah, and
and then
another one that I just never see in the stores.
yeah, and then we got the Final Fantasy Tactics A2 on there.
Hmm.
Um, two Blue Dragon games, right?
So, uh, oh yeah, the
Which
Blue
shout
Dragons
out to
games.
Stephanie who got me one of them.
Um, the Dragon Quest One strategy game with the slimes. Um,
hmm
that one I had, and I beat it on DS. I beat it for a while. That one, that one is probably rare too. But man, that game was fun. It was a
hmm
strategy kind of war game, and you had to collect materials and stuff so you could shoot out to them. your
Hmm.
opponent. So I would try to find like the strongest stuff or buy the strongest stuff and be throwing like tables and cannonballs and swords and stuff, like bunch of metal stuff, and start draining their energy down. It was a really fun game.
Hmm. Uh, man, I didn't know there was a Beautiful Joe game on DS. Double
Yeah,
Trouble.
yeah, I don't remember neither. I think that was that America or Japanese only. I
Uh,
wonder.
it doesn't have an ESRB sticker on it. It has a different one. It's not Sero though, which is the Japanese one. So I don't know what that
Right.
is.
So if it and then there should be Peggy, which is Europe's.
Hmm. It's not Peggy either. Remember when they started porting a lot of those like old PC adventure games over to DS2? Like Myst was
Yes.
on there and Ribbon and
Yes.
like that kind of stuff. Oh man, dude, there's so many weird games on here. And then like you look at the third party games, you're like, oh yeah, I remember playing that on a console. But also like this was also the last era where like you would get the third party game with the same name, but it was a totally different game, right?
Uh-huh.
Like Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, the one that came out around the time the movie came out.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, the one on consoles played like Sands of Time and like those Prince of Persia games.
Mm-hmm.
But the one on DS, if I'm remembering correctly, was a 2D side scrolling game. like the classic ones.
Like the classic ones. Okay.
Uh Maybe I'm misremembering that, but for
That
some reason I
movie
remember it that
was
way.
that Prince of Persia movie was terrible.
Oh,
Like
I really liked it, but
I
I'm
it,
also not the
me and my friend, while he was in the hospital, we both fell asleep 5 minutes after we hit play.
mm.
When the movie started, I'm just like, oh, we can't out with this movie.
I really liked that movie. I also really liked the Assassin's Creed movie, so I'm
I
glad
which
that
I never seen.
which is like, okay, you're just ripping off the Matrix, but also I still like it, so who cares?
But I like the Hitman movie, so
Which one? The Timothy Oliphant one?
yeah, the first one.
Yeah, I had such a crush on that the love interest in that movie. She
I
was like some grungy, like
mhm.
not quite gothic girl, but just kind of like grungy and I don't know.
Yeah.
I
She was good. I had the crush on Timmy Oliphant
Who
because
doesn't? He's a handsome man.
he was hot in that movie. And I love the fight scenes in that movie. Maybe I should rewatch that.
Yeah, I never saw the second one or the other one.
I I seen the second one, but I need to rewatch it because I don't remember a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because I think he didn't come back for the second one. I think it was someone else.
No, it was somebody else.
Yeah. I also
So
didn't watch that Max Payne movie because
with Mark Wahlberg,
yeah, I don't know
I
how.
I kind of liked that movie too.
I was just like, do I need to drink during this movie to watch it?
Uh,
Uh,
Dang. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this except for DS was a great console, and I
hmm
you know
Yes.
I'm glad it existed.
Was Pokemon Diamond on there?
Yeah, Diamond and Pearl were both on there,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Black and White and X
What?
and Y were all on the DS.
Okay, because they have black and white 1 and 2 on DS.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then X and Y, and then yeah,
Which I enjoyed all the Pokemon games in there. I was Diamond for that one.
that was the generation of Pokemon that so what was it? Gold, the Soul Silver and Gold, the remakes of Gold and Silver were on the DS, and I wanted Soul Silver so bad, and I never got it, and then it
Uh,
just shot up in price.
uh,
So
I had to get gold because that was me on the Game Boy when it came out. It was
mhm.
gold with it. Well, everybody, that's gonna be it for Expansion Pass. That was our thoughts on the Nintendo DS and for its launch in memory lane for other stuff, other
Something.
games. So, but we would love to hear your thoughts. Did you guys get a Nintendo DS at launch, or did you start with the DS Lite and go back and get some of the launch games? What were your favorites? We would love to know. You can let us know in the comment section, or you could come to our Discord or in our socials and let us know. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Expression Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Christian S. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.